Good morning, Mortgage Coach community. Dave Savage here, CEO of Mortgage Coach. Excited about our call today. We do not have Sue Woodard today, so part of the marketing was Sue Woodard would be our guest today. Unfortunately, she got caught up in some snow delays traveling today and is in the air, so is not able to join us. I have rescheduled her for a few weeks from now. I think it's the 13th. I'll look before the end of the call just to make sure he knows the time. But we've got Kristin Messerli. So, Kristin, you want to turn on your video and say hi to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on the call, even though Sue couldn't make it. I'm happy to be here.
Right on. Well, what I would like to do, I'm actually going to take down my video, and I am going to share my desktop. And what Kristin and I decided to do, by the way, could you confirm that you can see my desktop now, everybody?
Yep.
All right. What I thought I would do is walk through a presentation. It's a version of a keynote that I've been doing at different mortgage companies. As CEOs are kicking off the new year, they want loan officers to realize what time it is in the industry. They want to educate mortgage professionals around the importance of using technology in their business. And part of my job at Mortgage Coach is to educate you on what is the digital mortgage. And what do you need to do to upgrade yourself to be successful as a modern mortgage professional? So Kristin and I together are going to define what is a modern mortgage professional, what is the ultimate digital mortgage, and where does every loan officer need to be by the end of the year. Kristin, anything you want to say before we start going through these slides together?
No, not really. I just want to preface this by saying we're hoping that this is going to be very practical, and we, as Cultural Outreach Solutions, just launched modernloanofficer.com, so it's a really timely topic for us. So we've been focusing a lot on how to really equip loan officers with the tools and knowledge to become the modern day loan officer. So I think this presentation is going to be really good.
Yeah, so Kristin and I have collaborated. There's some slides of hers in here, and we're going to really just go back and forth. To set up the call, I want to call out some of the most recent interviews I've done in our YouTube channel. I interviewed Todd Duncan to kick off the year, and a lot of the ideas that Todd shared, he shared these 5 keys to success in 2018. Those are integrated into this conversation. And by the way, I highly recommend that all mortgage professionals that want to be a modern loan officer, this is a must-watch for 2018. I recently interviewed Darren Hardy, and that was just published this week, literally 2 days ago, or a day ago. This was released on our YouTube channel. I also did a LinkedIn article on it. We definitely, highlighted takeaways from Darren and his framework. He's got this framework called Bigger and Easier Framework. By the way, you can download that at darrenhardy.com/mortgage coach. He also, if you listen to the interview, he actually uses it as a bit of a worksheet in the interview that we did. So, make sure you check that out. If you fill it out, you'll get an email that looks like this. If you don't see this email, check your spam filter, but darrenhardy.com is the domain. And really recommend you guys go through this process. Super valuable. But, what we want to do today is we want to talk about technology. By the way, I do want to remind everybody that Bill Hillstead is our guest this Friday, and he's going to talk about digital strategies, how to stay top of mind and build relationships with 10,000 digital friends. And Kristin, I don't know if you can make it this Friday, but I would love to have you on this call because I know your platform and everything you're doing can play into what Bill's doing also.
Yeah, definitely. I'm planning to be there.
Okay, cool. So let's start with what is the definition of the digital mortgage? And I pulled a quote from Garth Graham. If anybody wants to put in questions, have some engagement, some interaction, go ahead and put in questions. What do you think is a digital mortgage, or what are some functions and features within a digital mortgage? I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes, couple seconds, because I would love to see people engage. Best way to learn is to actually participate. But what is the definition, and what are some of the things that go into a digital mortgage? Anyone want to throw something into questions right now? Now, Kristin, you know the definition. You and I worked on this together. But what do you think most loan officers think a digital mortgage is?
I think there's a lot of confusion around what that means. I think a lot of people think it means having a mobile app, or I think people think of Quicken's Rocket Mortgage. But I think a lot of people are confused around what exactly it means.
Yeah, I agreed. And based off the feedback we're getting, it's flexible, it's fast, it's digital, it's mobile. And at the end of the day, this is the best definition I've seen so far from Garth Graham STRATMOR. It's the ability to interact with the borrower across all potential interaction methods: web, apps, text, email, mobile, chat, voice, and in the way they want to interact. Or said another way, the ability to generate data to support a loan file rather than documents. Now, that is the digital mortgage experience. I would say the modern mortgage experience, I would expand it. It's whatever the family wants. If they want paper, we give them paper. Even though there's better ways to deliver information than PDFs, there's digital interactive links. It's whatever the family wants. But that is the definition, my favorite definition so far, of a digital mortgage. Another, I'd say, critical interview that every loan officer, every manager needs to go through this 31-minute interview with Steve Brown. Steve was the chief futurist for Intel for a long time. It's only been about a year that he's been speaking out in the market, sharing, where's it going? And in this interview with him, he really broke it down for the referral-based local loan officer or lender. So he spoke in this interview, if you're a referral-based local loan officer or lender, what do you need to do and where's the world going? And I did a LinkedIn article on that. I highly recommend you read it, go through that interview. I'm going to give you guys cliff notes. So Chris and I are going to nail this in like less than 5 minutes, that the top mortgage trends that are going to impact you today and in 2020 even more are big data, artificial intelligence, and multi-channel. And I think the one that impacts most loan officers the most today is just multi-channel opportunities that they're missing. To me, the biggest takeaway from this interview and the biggest wake-up call for the industry is Moore's Law. And Moore's Law states that over the next 10 years, we're going to have more change, more innovation than we did in the previous 50 years. And so let's break that down. That means over the next 2 years as a loan officer, we're going to experience more change than we had in 10 years. And when you think of 10 years ago, it was just a little over 10 years ago that the iPhone was introduced from stage by Steve Jobs. So I want everybody to think about that. We're going to have more change over the next 2 years than we did in 10. So 2020 is what everybody needs to focus on. What are you doing? How are you leveraging technology so that you can be a great advisor? Because this really nets out that interview with Steve. If you knew that automation was going to eliminate all the redundancy, all the repetition of your business, so that all you have left is your human interaction, then you need to focus on your human interaction now. That means leveraging technology like your CRM and like Mortgage Coach, and to do it like you've never done it before. And this is another quote that he had offline. Also, Darren and I talked about this, but the lender and the loan officer of the future is the one with the most digital friends. That's who wins most. That's who wins biggest. And to do that, I love the way Steve said it, and I'm going to open it up to you in just a second here, Kristin. But he really talked about this, how important it is. He used the analogy of, if you want to watch what's going to happen to the mortgage industry, watch the retail space. And look what's happening with Amazon and Walmart. He goes, that's the Quickens. You've got the internet technology companies that do mortgages. Well, Amazon is the technology company that does retail. And he said, so that's only going to grow. It's going to grow faster. It's going to grow bigger. And there's going to be more players in our space. And how do small retailers compete? By customizing and personalizing, by capturing data and customizing and personalizing. So think about it like this, guys. You already are sitting on technology that you're not using. Human adaptability isn't leveraging what you have today. and it's gonna accelerate. It is accelerating, and you guys need to position yourself to where you're positioned to win by 2020. And just about everything that Kristin and I are going to talk about and go through are things that you could be doing now, because we both believe a loan officer who can digitally upgrade themselves the fastest wins the biggest. So Kristin, I'm going to take a break. Any comments from you? Anything from your modern loan officer platform that you think are relevant here?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was actually just looking at a study recently. I think I talked about it with you, that the Fortune 500 companies of 60 years ago the lifespan of companies has decreased significantly. So if you look at those about 60 years ago, they went from 88% of those don't exist today. The average lifespan of companies 60 years ago was 75 years, and now that's dropped to only 15 years. And so we just see a huge shift in how fast companies have to adapt and adopt new technology. And I think that, a lot of companies get overwhelmed by that. And I think you're on the right path talking about how it's really about understanding the individual and the individual's experience. So we're focusing a lot on at modernloanofficer.com about creating authentic content and helping loan officers engage with their personal networks. So it's not so much about how to look the cleanest and how to look the most, not focus on looking modern, but more on having an authentic connection with your customers. And so one thing you had mentioned earlier was the modern loan officer is not only all about tech, it's about understanding where your customer wants to meet. So it might be having a paper, it might not mean paperless always. And particularly when we look at multicultural communities, that's where a lot of companies fail, is that they might be able to get into the community, might get those leads, but then they can't follow through because it's so high touch in a lot of particularly Latino and African American communities. So those are a couple of things I wanted to add to what you were talking about.
Love it. Well, let's keep rocking through this, because I want to kind of take a new, go through the digital mortgage from a technology standpoint. If you're a loan officer on this call, this is how your CTO and your C-suite is thinking about the technology that they're deploying. And I'm going to try to do it in a way that's useful to you also. And so, when you really think of the digital mortgage experience, think of it as a triangle, and for the most part, apply is the rocket mortgage, it's apply. Status is really modern CRM, and education. But these are the three triangles as we see it of the modern mortgage experience, or the digital mortgage experience. So apply is really simple. It's to enable your borrower to apply for a loan and track progress from any device. So, a lot of the mobile apps that you're seeing, that you're getting as loan officers, they have this. And I could have put, a dozen functions and features, but these are the core. And I think everybody needs to start realizing that, by the end of this year, this will be commonplace. This will not be a differentiator. This will just be, this is how we do things in the mortgage business. Just like once upon a time, having a website was like, hey, we got a website. This is not something that's a differentiator in the future. And then there's the digital CRM, automating, updates, status, realtor portals, disclosure dashboards, alerts, sales automation, preference management. I do think there's a lot of opportunity to differentiate here. You're going to see different lenders roll out different types of apps. Some of them are proprietary. Many of them are, using platforms like Mortgage Coach because they can integrate it with their platform. So you're going to see a lot of differentiation in this area for really years to come. And then there's digital education, where it's engaging the borrowers. It's taking them from confused, like, how do I buy a home? What is a mortgage? What loan should I get? From confusion to confidence to transaction, and again, this is where Mortgage Coach helps you differentiate. Although there's a lot of ways that you can differentiate when it comes to digital education. And Kristin's going to walk through some of the ways that she helps you do it. And I'm going to walk through some of the ways that I help you do it. By the way, Kristin, my screen is freezing up. By the way, I'm out of a hotel today, everybody, and I don't have the best internet. Hopefully my connection is good.
Yeah, your connection's been great, but I'm happy to take over, yeah.
Oh, you know what?
It does look like it moved.
Yeah, it just moved. So hopefully it doesn't click too far ahead. But the examples that you're seeing right now on my screen are examples from Keeping Current Matters where they're modern, they're visual, and they're, it's insight, rents are going up, it's rates are probably going to go up, appreciation's probably going to go up. So these are great examples of insights that you could post on social. Kristin's going to show in a minute some of her insights in ways that she helps you communicate. But I want to make the case, guys, that what's most important, by the way, Kristin, there you go. If I have much more trouble, Kristin, I'm going to have you take over because my computer's like freezing up right and left. Although I think hopefully when I get through these high image files, it won't do that quite as much.
Yeah, I'm queued up if you need it.
All right. I just made you the organizer.
Okay, great.
So you can share your screen.
It is not giving me that option yet. There we go. Okay. All right. And did you want to go back and talk about the checklist? I feel like that might be important.
Well, I don't think we need to go through the checklist just because I think I'm giving this to everybody. This is something that you guys can download. It's in handout. And I think what's most important is I want to just get through these insights, not to go and labor on any one of them in detail, but to show that, this is modern content. It's infographics. Yeah. So, yeah, and you can
definitely.
So, yeah, you can go ahead and click through to the one. Oh, go ahead, Kristin.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, the infographics are really key. And you talking about educating the home buyer, that's what we're completely focused on this year, is creating content that's educating buyers, because we want to be, as consumers, particularly millennial, modern consumers, they want to see information, but they want to understand it quickly. So infographics and things like this are really helpful to the consumer's eye who's skimming through Facebook feeds or, just skimming through content to get information, which is what they want, but get it in a quick and easy to understand type format.
Yeah, and why don't you walk through this in some of your images, and then I'll take it back and walk through how total cost analysis integrates with all that.
Sure. Yeah, so again, I think the most important thing here is just understanding how quick it is. You can gather this information from just glancing at it pretty much. And this is all from Keeping Current Matters, which has some good content, mortgage rates. I think that this quote in particular I just love it, and I think everyone should really be thinking about this. You have to start gathering data relentlessly so you can customize and personalize. Customization and personalization are so key. This is from Steve Brown. I think that we want to think of technology, or it seems like a natural inclination to think of technology as taking over the process. But as Dave was saying, it's not taking over everything. It's not making everything the same. It's allowing you to focus on the customization and personal connection with consumers. So this is a really awesome graphic that Dave just made, and we just made one really similar to include in all of our presentations as well, because the multi-channel approach really allows you to do that. You're leveraging technology to enhance the relationship. You're leveraging technology to take over a lot of the basic production type things, in order to allow you to focus more on making that personal connection and creating a custom experience for every borrower. So previously, it used to be that you would have a pretty linear process that was fairly simple. And it was very much driven by the loan officer. They would go to the office, they would call, maybe send an email later in time, and then today everything is driven by the buyer, and we're accessing you through multiple platforms. So instant messenger is a huge thing now. People are like, I don't know if you guys are all on Facebook, but I get even lots of messages from clients and of mine who are not millennials. This is everyone. Everyone's accessing people and communication through multiple channels. And it is driven by the buyer. I think that is one of the biggest things that we've seen a shift in, I would say, is that going from being loan officer or realtor driven to being the buyer who's driving the transaction. And I think sometimes that's difficult for some people to really make that shift, because it feels like, okay, I'm accommodating everything for the buyer. The buyer wants all of, this new form of communication, but what about how I want to communicate? And I think it's important that we realize that this is just how it's shifted, and it's an exciting shift, because it means that the buyer is taking over some control over their the way that they're consuming or making decisions. And of course, Mortgage Coach is all about helping consumers make more confident decisions. So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say on that, Dave, before I move into talking about how we're driving that multi-channel approach.
Yeah, well, I emphasize everyone, what are the most effective ways to create friends and to do business with people in a way that's fast and efficient. And by and large now, that is using text. That is having a multi-channel relationship. So no, continue, and I'll add some color once we get to some of the Mortgage Coach slides.
Cool. So, of course, with Modern Loan Officer, we've been focused on helping loan officers with social media and making those connections on social media. So I wanted to touch on some of the trends that we're seeing over 2018. And of course, the personal connection and engagement are key in 2018. So you might notice that people are using live video a lot more. Of course, Instagram stories came out, and so everyone's posting this, what we call ephemeral content, which is content that goes away after 24 hours or after a certain time period. And I think that tells you how much that personal connection and immediate engagement means to the buyer. It might be very different, and it certainly is different on every platform, but really pay attention to that. It's all about having this connection with your network. So a few of the other things, there's an emphasis on storytelling this year, much more so than previous years, where we're wanting to, of course, get to know you better, get to know our providers better and on a personal level, and artificial intelligence driving, I think analytics are really driving the marketing methods moving forward. And on that note, I don't know if everyone is aware, but Facebook actually just announced that they're updating their algorithm. And so it's going to be a little bit harder for businesses to have their standard content seen by the general audience. The general audience, Facebook users, are going to see content from friends and family members first, or from friends within their network first, instead of seeing content from businesses mixed in there. So businesses will, one, need to pay for Facebook advertising to be seen. But two, what that really means is that you have to leverage your personal connections, leverage your network, and you need to consistently engage with your network on an ongoing basis. So not just posting on a Facebook business page, but actually doing authentic videos and sharing content in your personal network. And that's where it's really going to make a difference over the next, particularly over this year. With Modern Loan Officer, we provide some content, but we also encourage you to customize all of that. So we give suggested post ideas on a weekly basis, but it's about you then changing that to fit your voice. And that's something we really encourage with all of this, is that you're making this your own and learning how to just integrate this into your daily life. So it's not about so much. I used to say, block out 15 minutes a week or 30 minutes a week and focus on social media and post your content, and then check in on occasion, which is something that does play into Darren Hardy's insane productivity methods, is blocking out that time and don't get too caught up in social media. And that is certainly important, but notice that I think we do need to engage a little bit more frequently on this individual level. It's like responding to a text message. You need to respond to some of your engagement on social media and share live video from events, and kind of always think about how you're framing your brand as the advisor, the go-to advisor, but you are engaging in an authentic way, if that makes sense.
Makes total
Dave,
sense.
I'll pass this back over to you.
All right, let's see if I can show my screen again. Tell me when you see my screen, and let's see if we get it to work. All right. So is my screen showing up?
I don't see it yet, but maybe that's because let's see. Yep, looks good. Okay.
All right. So being a multi-channel loan officer it's this year. This isn't next year. This is this year. Change is happening, and if you want to have a sustainable career and you want to maximize your success, you need to be doing that. And when it comes to delivering rates and fees, this is not a great multi-channel way to do it. And by the way, it's not personalized and customized around how a family can achieve their goals. So it is more important, and I don't want to say this year, this month, that everybody builds that habit that, hey, I can create a total cost analysis in less than 5 minutes, and I can ask a family questions about how they want to achieve wealth with real estate, or what are their goals with the mortgage, and whether, it's all over the phone and internet, and I'm forwarding the options, and it's a family member find their first home, and they want to get educated. They want to go from confusion to confidence about renting versus owning, or whether it's a family who's coming into your office and they're trying to go from confusion to clarity around what loan, how much should we put down, what purchase price should we do FHA versus conventional. It really is essential for you to connect in a meaningful way with every family that you come in touch with every realtor that you come in touch with, and you do it with the dynamic link. That's what makes Mortgage Coach magic, is that you can email, you can text, you can Facebook, any channel, you can send that link, and then the family member from any device, they click on that link and they get a native experience. I also think this is the year of experiences. By 2020, a family will be able to call into a phone number, around mortgage options, and they will not be able to tell if the person they're talking to is human or machine. That's where voice technology is. So when you know that big data is coming, you know that the Amazons of the mortgage industry are getting bigger and better and more human-like. You need to use what you have, and that's your human connection, but using technology, capturing data, putting it into your CRM, and then delivering these amazing experiences. So here is my best definition. And Kristin, I don't know if you want to expand on it, but what is the modern loan officer defined? It's a mortgage coach / advisor. I like the word coach, but advisor, who captures key data on clients and partners so they can customize, personalize, multi-channel content, like a total cost analysis, like an annual review, lifestyle touch points, which could be birthday cards, could be anything that just, it's a lifestyle touch point, market updates, relevant news, any top of mind content. Kristin, anything you'd like to expand upon when you think of that definition?
I think that's a good definition. I would just say, when you think of multi-channel, just remember all of the channels that exist in accessing your networks. I mean, we've talked a lot about Facebook, but Facebook is still such a good way to reach a lot of people in a kind of customized, personalized, authentic way. So it's not so much about how to look the most professional, though it's, professional is important, but really how to connect on all of those channels in a personal way. And I can't remember which interview I watched Dave, you interviewing. I think it was a realtor, and he had talked about how it's like personal is overpowering the professional in today's modern experience.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, by the way, someone had asked if there's a discount code they could use for the modernloanofficer.com. Is there anything, that folks could get from you out there? That question
definitely. You can use the code FIRSTFREE, and that will give you your first month free on the basic level. If you want an additional, like a discount for any of the higher levels, you can email me directly or contact me, and I'll send that to you. But yeah, and we'll be promoting this with Dave in the future and provide different opportunities, but that's our best one that will be around for probably another couple weeks, first free.
All right, thanks, Kristin. So the other thing I wanted to get everybody on this call thinking about is that when you deliver a total cost analysis, a lot of great things are happening. One, it's evidence that you asked some great questions. You thoughtfully created a digital multi-channel total cost analysis. And by the way, this means that you're a professional who's making the digital transition. If you're a manager on this call, one of the best ways to help your loan officers make that digital transition is just to, help them use Mortgage Coach. And when they are using it for all their borrowers, check it off the list. That is a loan officer who's made the digital transition. And by the way, there's different levels of modern professional. Mortgage Coach, consider that a belt. Consistent use of your CRM, consider that a belt. Consistent use of, social media, or at least having a social media presence is professional. Kristin, I'm going to go through these other 2 bullet points. I'd love for you to expand on, what are the things that managers and loan officers should kind of write down as like, check it off the list. But think about it. The borrower is getting a modern mortgage experience from a mortgage coach who's delivering an exceptional digital customer experience. So the borrower is getting something, and then the realtor is getting something. So, there's just every total cost analysis, there's at least 3 people that got value, and it's a demonstration that a loan officer is executing. Kristin, what else would you kind of add to this list when you think of, what defines a modern mortgage professional, and what else should people put on the checklist of things they need to accomplish?
I think the modern mortgage professional is using, we keep talking about multi-channel, but really using live video to communicate. And that might be through updating content on social media, but it also might be through a total cost analysis using video, or texting over a video to respond to a question. So I think that that live engagement is important to add to the checklist. And then secondly, instant access. So that might mean instant access to information on your website, educational materials, things like that. But it also might mean responding as quickly as possible to a question. And it doesn't mean you need to respond with a full answer to their questions, but just having some kind of touch point where you're saying, hey, I saw this, I'm going to give you a call about this later today, but really being on top of that kind of engagement with your consumers.
I'm gonna actually, in a minute here, I'm gonna post a question in our Facebook group saying, what are the most important skills for a modern mortgage professional? And I would love to have the community, start in that conversation. And Kristin, if you don't mind, once that gets posted, helping us drive that conversation. But let's create a list, everybody. Let's create a list together of what those things are. So again, this advisor, technology, borrower, realtor relationship is just more and more important. You guys need to drive that. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of back up. Like I started this from, hey, we've got a futurist telling us where the puck's going. We got to work towards this 2-year window. Here are the key things. As an industry, this is how we're building out technology to power a digital mortgage experience. But now let's jump and look at this from a consumer's perspective. Someone that's shopping for a home. Where does getting a mortgage start? And I think it's important that we all distinguish that it doesn't start with a mortgage. It starts with shopping for a home. And whether that's Zillow, whether that's Redfin, again, in our industry, HBM, there's a host of MLS apps and solutions. But I think as an industry, we kind of miss the point that families, they don't get mortgages to get mortgages. They get mortgages to buy a house. And I think it's super important that as an industry, we really get clear on and we start building our technology around the customer's experience. And whether they do a loan with Rocket Loan or not, they've seen the commercial. They know that this exists. And let's face it, I think the big threat to the local referral-based loan officer, in addition to, technology companies that do mortgages, are big banks. And I don't know if everybody noticed, but, the big banks are getting ready to roll out their Rocket their version of the Rocket Mortgage. And let's face it, every big bank, your customers, your families, you want to have customer for life relationships, they have those apps downloaded. I've got a big bank app on my iPhone. So this is something I think everybody needs to start thinking about, is how many of your clients have your app downloaded, the Mortgage Coach app. Whether they meet with you in person, whether you ran their credit report, how many of them have it downloaded? And what is your app share? This is a percentage. This is something that the big companies think about a lot, is like, how many customers we have, what percentage of them have our app downloaded? Because that's our gateway to communicate. That's they're not a digital friend if they don't have your app downloaded. They're just not. You don't have a digital multi-channel relationship until they have that downloaded. So that's something that everybody needs to start thinking about, is what percentage of your past clients have that. I ask loan officers, how many past clients do you have? I don't get crisp, quick, great answers. In fact, I'm going to throw that out right now, everybody. Please, in the question section right now, let's see how many of you know how many past customers you have. And again, I want to see 500. I want to see just round numbers, and I would love to see some exact numbers. If you know exactly how many you have, I would love to see it. So we're seeing 1,000. By the way, I love this, 1,272. There's a man who knows his past customers. 1,100, 250. Again, keep throwing it out there. But, here's the thing. Everybody that said you have over 1,000 past customers, that is 100 loans a year that you should be closing from those past customers. Guys, that's just the math, simple math. And again, we teach you the strategies. Everyone who's got 500 past customers, that's 50 loans a year. For the person that's got 260, that's 26 loans a year if you are managing it right. So, how many past customer loans did you do last month? Again, if you want to be ready for 2020 and not be worried about big banks, you need to do annual reviews. That is your best defense, and that is your best offense. Offensively, you're creating a client for life. Defensively, if you're delivering that annual review, that customer not only has top of mind value from you, but they actually have tangible value. And that's a service that has has obvious value to a family. So let's go through this mortgage journey, and I'm going to hand it back to you in just a second, Kristin. But it starts with awareness, and let's face it, that's, an example of that is MLS, apps. This is a quote, last year I was at Inman, and I love this quote from one of the founders of Zillow. The agent of the future is a coach and advisor to home buyers and home sellers. Well, that's never been more true. That was true last year. It's even more true this year. But the only thing I would add, the agent of the future is a coach or advisor to home buyers and home sellers, and they leverage technology so that they have, the most possible digital friends. So then there's the shopping. Again, that's where Mortgage Coach comes in. Someone's shopping for a loan. You want to take them from confusion to clarity. That's what we do. We help make that simple. Then there's transaction. And let's face it, you've got a transaction app. Most of you have something now. Make sure you're using it. And then we have, client for life. And again, this is where the annual review comes in. Making sure that you've built that multi-channel relationship up front with the family. It's always great if they have your app, and now you can just drive them into an annual review conversation. And again, we provide you with templates. We provide you with, all kinds of content. Like if you go to my LinkedIn page, this is actually a handout that was created for one of my LinkedIn articles. Rick Shear, one of America's top loan officers, was kind enough to share his template. And there's a lot of engagement going on in the community on this. But Kristin, I'll bring you in right now. Just, I don't know if you want me to go back a few slides, but any commentary you have to provide.
Thanks. Yeah. The only thing I wanted to add, or I guess a couple things, but we did a full report last year on the top mobile apps for home buyers at every stage of the process. And we're working on our 2018 report. So I would love to hear from anyone if you are using different apps like other MLS apps or home design apps. I mean, every stage from dreaming of buying a home to the mortgage process, financing, thinking about your budget to even shopping and designing your home. At every stage, what are the top mobile apps that consumers are using? If you're using some or recommending some, we'd love to hear about it. And if you want to check out that full report, you can go to modernloanofficer.com/apps and download that. We did a coaching call on this last year as well. But yeah, I think it's important that you not only think about your app and how to drive people to using that, but also understand what people are using all the time to communicate with each other and to collaborate on the home shopping process. Really get to know that. Helps you to better understand your consumers and to understand ways that you can add value to them by making recommendations. So yeah, you see that pulled up here. You can download a handout, or it's like a couple pages, and you can use that for lunch and learns you might share with referral partners or sharing with consumers, or download the full report and share that. Just make sure you, again, make it your own, customize it, and say, hey, I absolutely love this app. I hate this app that's in the report. And, make sure that you are always sharing value. I think that quote from Inman was just so key, talking about how you need to frame yourself as the advisor and as the coach in today's market. So, and I would also say, think about what is easiest for you to adapt. Don't be afraid of how many apps there are out there or how much technology there is to adapt. Start with the things that are easy and that your consumers are using, and move from there. So kind of keep that step-by-step approach. Just like you're learning a new language or a new skill, you take things in bite-sized pieces. Don't back away from it. Instead, embrace it by taking it in pieces like that.
Love it. Hey, Kristin, if you could put a link to this in the chat area for everyone so they can just click on that some point during the call. Again, everybody, I did post that question, what are the most important skills for a modern loan officer? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that. And Kristin and I will fill in the blanks so that within a day, we'll literally have a very comprehensive list of, here's the checklist. You want to be a modern mortgage professional. This is the obstacle course that you need to run through. These are the things that you need to do. So talk about a great opportunity to be a coach to realtors. I did this interview with Nicole Solari. For anyone who hasn't listened to it, doesn't know the story, she closed a little over 200 transactions in 2017 and had only been a realtor for 4 years and didn't grow up in the market that she served. She moved to Napa, which, by the way, is not an easy market to break into, not, being an outsider. But her number one lead source was open houses. That's what got her started. And that is her number one lead source. So, and her number one strategy for, getting so many leads and closing so much business from an open house is having a paperless open house. So you want to, let's add that to the list. One of the skills of the modern mortgage professional is to know how to implement a modern open house and how to teach a real estate agent to implement a modern open house. And by the way, I've had this conversation with a number of realtors, and some of them are just really easy. They're like, oh yeah, it makes total sense. I'm all over it. And some of them are like, well, that doesn't work in my market because everybody in my market wants flyers. And, maybe that's true. Maybe there are houses and markets where the paperless open house isn't right. I don't think there's many of those, because if you listen to this interview, she tells you how to handle that objection for the person who says, hey, I want the flyer. She shows you how to turn that push, that problem, into a lead. And so, highly recommend that you watch this. It's a huge opportunity to get 3 extra leads. Whatever you're getting out of open houses that are non-paperless, you could be getting more. And just a reminder, mortgage coach is an important piece of that. Kristin, is there anything in your platform that you think might be helpful when it comes to either open houses or educating realtors around digital open houses? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, part of our platform, we're providing content to promote if you want that customized. But I think about things that are not only creating a social media strategy around it. That's the obvious one where you create Facebook advertising, and we can help you with that. But also the organic, connection, personal connections, and creating buzz around personally reaching out to people with even if it's a flyer or a digital infographic, something like that shares the kind of value that you'll be offering. And then if you wanted to share additional value, even printing out that report or having we have tons of lunch and learn type materials and webinars that you can point them to that I think are really helpful in adding value. But that should just always be your go-to thing, is that you are looking for things, and we have tons of that content available on our website, and there's others that provide value, but always thinking about how you can add value to the people that are attending the open house, to the referral partners that are involved, and doing that through promoting. So not just a sales like, hey, let's promote this, but promoting it through education. So giving value even before they attend the open house, and then giving value at the open house. So I think that there's lots of ways you can do that, but just keeping that at the forefront of your mind of what can I bring to the table is the most important thing.
So two things. If you're on this call and you're either having success with annual reviews or paperless open houses, please share, either or both, what kind of, how many have you done, what kind of results you're getting. I would love to just see that. So feel free to share in chat anything that you're doing around this. So let's remember some of the key concepts as we wrap up this call, and I do want to open it up to the audience for questions. I see some questions coming in. If you want Kristin and I are to answer a question, post it now. But this concept that you need to start relentlessly gathering data, and a lot of people know how to use a CRM. Not a lot of people are using it consistently every day, capturing that multi-channel content so that you can customize and personalize not only this year, but for years to come. So key concept, got to nail it. Key concept that you need to focus on having digital friends, and that means you need to have multi-channel content. You need to not just know their phone, their emails. You need to know their mobile phone. You need to know what social channels they connect with, and they need to have your apps downloaded, and they need to know how to use your apps and when to use your apps. That's a digital friend. And so more important than ever, this is where we're at today. And to me, the loan officers that will kill it in the future are the loan officers that learn the fastest. And we're here at Mortgage Coach. Kristin's here as a partner of ours to help you accelerate that. Her program, Modern Loan Officer, I believe that is an enabler. Just like I think we're an enabler, we will help loan officers and lenders accelerate their learning. I believe Kristin is one of those enablers in the marketplace. And so when you really think about, number one goal for 2018 for referral-based local loan officers is to create experiences that reduce the time it takes a borrower to go from confusion to application to closing for client life. And I think our industry, for the most part, focuses on application and closing. Our industry as a whole does not do a great job of education at the front end in a consistent way. Less than 5% of the loan officers, when I gave you those metrics early on where I say, hey, if you've had 1,000 past customers, that should be 100 loans. Less than 10%, probably less than 5% of loan officers deliver annual reviews and really create clients for life. So massive opportunity. And we're here. That's what our YouTube channel is for. This is why I do so many interviews. This is why we organize them so that you can get to it. This is a channel to help upgrade you and upgrade your team. If you're a branch manager, share these videos. Also, Insane Productivity. Every Friday, we're doing the Insane Productivity Mastermind. We've got this group, Insane Productivity Mastermind. I urge you to engage. This group is there to help upgrade your skills. And this group was inspired by Darren Hardy. So I interviewed Darren recently. It was posted. I've got a LinkedIn article. Make sure you go through this. And of all the things that you could do, while it is not an inexpensive investment, his Insane Productivity program is incredible. And if you read this article, you know, one, he tells you how to sign up for that. Two, he gives you a free handout, you know, that you guys can just click on and download. So download, check that out, and enroll in his Insane Productivity program at insaneproductivity.com/mortgage coach. You can also download and get that handout that I mentioned. Super powerful planning tool. Here it is right here, the Bigger and Easier Framework. You can get that at darrenhardy.com/mortgage coach. So with that said, Kristin, let's see if we've got any questions. By the way, I just remembered I had this kind of a closing thought, this quote from Josh Metal. This was from my interview with him several weeks ago. I think that's where I got the whole going from confusion to close. But again, a great quote from a great mortgage professional. Kristin, any thoughts as we wrap this up, and are you seeing any questions that we should jump on right now?
I haven't. I'll look through the questions a little bit more, but the last couple thoughts, just in summary, I would say is to one question: what are you using to educate your audience and your network? So, what kind of content are you using Mortgage Coach consistently and your mobile app? You know, what is the content that you've gathered to focus on being that advisor? And secondly, what channels are you using to communicate that education? And so, you know, really going back to that multi-channel approach and how you can be a leader in the 2018 to 2020 market through education. I don't see any questions yet, but those are the closing thoughts I had.
Cool. Good. I'll bring in any questions that come in. I do want to give everybody this poll question. You know, how many annual reviews have you done so far this month? Again, I wrote the article. I've done a number of interviews on it. I do believe that this is the number one thing that you need to be doing right now. Not only will you get loans, but you will get referrals, and you will be creating a client for life. You know, so that as we continue to evolve as an industry and technology, and, you know, technology companies that are lenders become more and more successful, you won't really have anything to worry about, because you'll have an emotional connection and you'll have an incredible business connection. So by the way, you know, it's pretty good. You know, we've still got about 30% of you that haven't done this, but the good news is almost 70% of the folks on this call, you're doing annual reviews. So that is just a massive upgrade from where we kicked off the year. So great job, everybody. And for those of you that said you've already done, you know, 7 and over, I give you a special high five. You are killing it. So thanks for answering that question. One last chance for questions. There is a script. Okay. Is there a script on annual reviews? So yeah, there is a script. I'm not going to try to go find it right now. Well, actually, if I go to the group right now and I type in script, go to our Facebook group, and there's a lot of scripts. And I bet you there's an annual review script. But Todd Duncan's 6 magic referral questions to ask your realtors, great script. Check it out. There are some scripts in here. So Will, thanks for the question. If you, after doing a search or going through this, you're still having trouble, let me know, and I'll, you know, post a question for any scripts, anything you want in here, and we'll make sure the question gets answered. But again, a great question, Will. So yeah, Todd has a great one. Kristin, anything else you want to share with everybody before we wrap up today's call?
No, just summarizing the, you know, personal connection and authentic engagement with your audience is key to growing your social media and digital strategy, and rely on your partners. I mean, Mortgage Coach and myself and Modern Loan Officer we are constantly providing free content, and this engagement on the Mastermind Facebook group. If you're not involved there, I think there's tons of value to be had there, and it also kind of helps you to feel that immediate engagement, and that's what the future looks like. You know, this personal connection through public and digital networks. So stay focused on that, and let us be here to support you guys as you grow into becoming more and more modern loan officers.
Right on, everybody. Well, hey, I hope everybody on this call and as part of our community goes through this interview with Darren Hardy, please share it, forward it to other people that mortgage friends that you'd like to see be successful. Let us know what you think, and let us know what you thought of today's call. Did we wow you in value? Did you get some solid takeaways? If you are a guest to today's call and you want to get a demo or learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the last option. I want a demo and learn more. But thanks again, everybody. Have a fantastic day. And Kristin, thanks for coming in on short notice with Sue Woodard missing and jumping in. And by the way, everybody, I did have a question on when Sue is going to be the guest. And we will have Sue Woodard on the 13th. Tuesday, February 13th, 9 o'clock. Sue Woodard will be our guest. So do not miss that call. It will rock. And next week, I am going to have, who's my guest next week? Carl White. How to double your loans and referrals with Carl White. So don't miss next week's call. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks so much.